all right. A roof, yeah. Yo, Beat People Podcast. My name is Corey, like sorry or worry with a C. Corry. Oh. So I need to do this thing right quick. All right. My bad. I heard myself talking to myself in the background because I had the thing going on, the actual stream. So, yo, this is a Beat People Podcast, episode 27. Welcome to the show. I got my usual cast of suspects, suspicious characters on the panel here. And before we start, yo, check this out. You see how my background is looking like my studio threw up on itself?
Welcome to
My
my
wife
work.
just walked past and she
It
was
looks like
like,
it looks like a healthy playground.
my wife said, how you hiding all that stuff? I was like, I'm not, babe. It's because of this that I got all this. This is shipping and receiving. This is the business. You ain't going too far to see that yet.
That's hilarious.
So yeah, I've been selling stuff and receiving stuff and got reviews to do. And then too, I do have to just clean up and straighten up. So that's what's going on behind me. And let's go ahead and say what up to the people. But first, I got a lot of dope new sample packs coming out. One is called the Drenched Kit. And then I also have Modscapes Volume 2, which should have been out already, but I'll have that out too. So stop by beatpeople.com and check us out there. We got some dope new stuff coming. So who we got on the panel here? What up, D?
What up, man? How you guys
Good,
doing?
man. Good.
I'm chilling, man. Saturday, day off, long week of work, mixing, producing, getting stuff done, and yeah, excited to have a day where I'm not doing anything.
Seems like you had like a marathon of stuff going on for a minute there, huh? Last week.
I was doing all that a week before. Had an artist in town working on his album. This upcoming week, I'm doing some traveling. Going to be DJing at a couple festivals, and then traveling to California, where I'm going to end up and just take a little bit of time off and just rejuvenate the creativity.
Yeah, we're gonna have to be sure to link, man.
Yeah, man.
Let me know when you come out. I just might plan a barbecue for that weekend and have
You know what?
upright.
Don't say barbecue.
I'll bring the appetite. I'll bring the appetite.
No doubt. Hey, yo, Kenneth,
Ew.
Flux 302. What's the drink for the day?
This is some deliciousness. I'm using a different camera than I'm used to, so it's a little
Is
bit
it
weird.
Balcones?
Yeah, Balcones. This is the Texas Single Malt,
Nice.
and I highly recommend it. Highly recommend all their whiskeys. They're delicious.
So
they have a spirit there called Rumble.
Rumble, I have that. I have that.
You had
Yeah,
have you
I'm
tried
gonna
it?
get it just so I can show it.
Have you
So,
tried it?
I have tried. It's strong, man. Well, I'm not a whiskey guy, but I have 2 bottles of Balcones though.
It's kind of like
I'm scared of you. How you gonna drink something called Rumble?
it's like a mixture between a rum and a brandy, and it's so
Hold
good.
on, I'm gonna go get it. Then we continue on with the conversation.
You know what I'm drinking, guys? I'm drinking water.
Well, keep in mind, listen, I can justify my situation because I'm like 3 hours ahead of Corey, so it's early for me. So I get the bourbon.
Yeah, dog. It's 3 over here, homie. He over there. It's still early for him.
Yeah. So
That's that breakfast wine that he's drinking.
So yeah. I've been working on what should become my new house and new studio a lot. But today we kind of took a break from it, so that's why I'm actually here. But that's also why the lab looks kind of crazier than. Well, no, it always looks crazy. But
crazier.
Most recent fun times that there it is.
Doing a commercial right now.
The baby blue, the baby blue is delicious. It tastes kind of like a butterscotch.
Yeah.
So most recent project that I've been doing is I got a EMU Emax, and I've been refurbishing it, getting it back to pristine condition, and making a lot of sample kits and different stuff like that with it. So very interesting.
Word.
By the way, public, we hear about this EMU every day.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's how we know Ken loves this thing.
Oh, yeah,
I'm
he definitely loved
head
it.
over heels for it. Like seriously, I was expecting to enjoy it, but I'm like head over heels for it. It's so good. It's
I low key feel like you don't even tell your kids bedtime stories anymore. You just like lay them down and read them the manual.
yeah. That's actually what I had them doing the other day. Is I told them that so we homeschool and they're supposed to be starting school next week, and I told them like they're not allowed to start school until they understand the service manual first. So I said we're going through all the schematics.
Hey, that's cool, man.
Watch,
Word up.
I'll get some emails from people like, "What the hell?
Like, why are you teaching your kids soldering when they're supposed to be learning math?
Oh man,
Oh, don't even get me started. I was just telling my daughter the other day, I don't even know why chemistry exists like that. Like, why we gotta memorize the periodic table or whatever it is. Like,
So that you don't drink a chemical by mistake one day thinking it's water.
but you know, I got some qualms about that. Should it be the requirement of chemistry, like the programming is an elective? This is a different world today. Like, I'm not saying that, you know, that's a whole different conversation, but
No, I feel you.
so Stony, what's going on, Stony? We got a
what's up,
slow
y'all?
intro coming today. What's going on?
I'm letting y'all go on with y'all liquor shenanigans.
hey, don't judge me.
How's everybody doing?
Stony, when you come to California, I'm gonna pour you a shot of this whiskey.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, that's part of it. When you come to my house, you got to do a shot.
can I get at least one of those cigars?
Sure, I got a couple of cigars too right now.
Okay, let's do it, pimp.
I got Dominican cigars.
Oh, que loco.
Word up. So, hey, I wanted to get started, man. All right, so 808 day passed. What was that? Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday? I don't remember. This past week. And Roland introduced more little things. One of them was the SH01.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go to it over here. The SH01. Let's share that.
That's like isn't that like the boutique?
Yeah, the Roland
One of the boutique pieces that they released.
Yep. And let's see. Here we go. So it's the Roland SH01A synthesizer. So basically, it's the classic Roland SH101 in the boutique version, the boutique form. Now, I think what some people got confused about is that, like, yo, this is the new analog, but it's not analog, it's digital. It's a virtual analog thing using their ACB technology, right?
Mm-hmm.
Somebody asked, y'all gonna talk about music production or what? Yeah.
Don't rush us. Don't rush us.
That's what I'm screaming.
So yeah, but this is not analog, it's ACB, which I gotta say though, there's a lot of hemming and hawing and complaining one way or the other, and even I've done some of that, but I gotta say I had the first 3 boutiques and they do sound damn good. It's just that they're so small. I don't know if I could rock with the small, but at the same time, if I'm traveling, it could come in handy. So
I think I could rock with this SH101 because it don't have that many buttons on it, so I feel like the space isn't really an issue with this one.
yeah, let's see.
It's not really that crammed.
Because actually, this one is spaced out much better than the other ones. Like the Jupiter one, the JP one?
Oh, that chill, yo, that joint. I was like, I needed tweezers to use that joint.
Yeah, you miss a lot of sweet spots because of, you know, how tiny it was with those sliders and stuff.
The layout on this one doesn't look so cramped. It looks okay. And the other thing that I noticed is that they dropped the price on these a bit.
That's what I was gonna say. I think I like these boutique pieces because for the cats that can't afford
The bigger,
a full-on, you know, bigger. I mean, $349 is pretty fair for somebody who doesn't have a budget.
certainly.
But I'd like to like A/B this guy with the software, and see, you know, with the plugin, and see what do a shootout of the sounds.
So the other thing is that they also have, like I've got the System 1M, and it has that plug out for the System 1M. So if you you got a System 1M,
I have that.
you don't really need it. I mean, it's nice that you have the the layout being the layout. At one point, they had a limited edition overlay that was the overlay for that. I never got one. I wanted one, but to make it even nicer, yeah. But I mean, the ACB stuff sounds really, really good.
It does sound
might
good.
not
You
be
can't take away
100%,
from
but
it.
it's darn close.
It's pretty close, bro. I mean, you know, the thing is, the older versions of whatever they released in boutique version with the ACB, it seems like the older version is a little more smoothed out on the high end. You know what I mean? A little darker on the high end. Like these seem to be a little brighter, but for the most part, they get the sound right.
Yeah, so Steve was in here asking about is this the one that the IntelliGel Atlantis is based on? And what I would say to that is, yeah, the original analog version of this, the IntelliGel is inspired by. Now, what I would say by that is the oscillators are not the same oscillators that are in SH-101. They're more closely aligned with the Dixie oscillators, but the filter is the same filter design, and it's, you know, it's got a bit more functionality than a regular SH-101. Now, I believe it's like $5.99, something like that. But it's the Atlantis is really nice. I mean, they make $6.99. Okay, they're really nice. But again, you're talking about modular, and modular format stuff is usually made in much smaller quantities, so it's not really apples to apples when you start talking about that kind of stuff. But they are both similarly small form factor, you know, and aiming for the same basic type of sound. So there's that. But the boutique stuff it's cool for what it is. But I thought it was funny when we saw the little teaser from Behringer where they had like a full size joint with the hand grip and everything, and they released that little teaser on the same day. It was like,
yeah, super troll. I mean, that was the super troll of the century.
Yeah, they were trolling, yo.
Yeah, really.
I mean, gosh. and you know, they didn't even say anything about it, so I got it up on the screen now. It basically says, "What on earth is this?" Question mark, question mark, question mark.
And on top of that, I mean, for me, it's one of them things where, you know, I don't have a desire for another small mono synth in my setup right now, but that's because I have a lot of that kind of stuff already. But for people who are just, you know, who are still looking for new mono synth sounds and, you know, are wanting something like that, it's really cool. And
super cool.
Why not?
Yeah, so I mean that's kind of like the thing, right? I got a JX let me stop sharing this thing. I got a JX3P. I had and that's one of the things that I've wanted for a very, very long time. So I finally got one. But, you know, initially I had the JX, whatever, 03 or whatever they call it, the boutique version.
Yeah.
And I liked it. I actually made a couple tracks with it on my Synthbap album. And it was dope. But I noticed that this sounds a lot different. Now, what I do know now that I got the JX3P is like, wow, if I never was able to get the JX3P, the boutique joint was a good alternative.
Yeah, it would have been a good alternative.
Yeah, you know, and it takes up a lot less space. And then you think about the SH, what do they call this? The MS-101, Behringer's MS-101. Yeah. So you think about that, and then you maybe in the same sense of DeepMind, where DeepMind is based on the Juno, but has a lot more tricks up its sleeve.
Yeah.
And a lot more modulation, and you know, the whole mod matrix and everything. That's a pretty dope alternative for $9.99 compared to going out trying to find a Juno.
So you're bringing up a really important thing, like the fact that we're seeing Behringer prove that no, we can make good sounding stuff at a
affordable price.
At an affordable price. It's just good because it's giving people access to good sounds.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that in earlier years, it was really hard for, if you didn't make that much money, for you to get a synth that actually had a quality sound.
Right.
That didn't break up when you like went to the low end, like the notes just sounded like farts. You know what I'm saying? Like, like that's what you could afford back in the day if you didn't have money. Synths that sounded like farts in the low end.
Yeah,
unless you're going for that sort of thing. You know what I'm saying?
The thing is that this was The SH-101 was never meant to be a premium synth. Like it was always
Right.
Yeah.
low end rolling synth. You
Yeah.
know,
But it just
Now
became such a cult classic.
Well, to me, the SH-101
Yeah,
always had a super round bass, and that's what I loved about it. I just loved it. I would simply just use it for bass. It was like really. It was, to me, it was like my sound in like the mid '90s, early 2000s for me at least.
yeah, and that's the same. The whole thing where it's like, oh, but it became legendary because it was used on XYZ and this and that, and it's like that kind of stuff. Like I get it, like I get the whole reasoning,
Yeah.
behind it, but at the same time, I'm like, it doesn't mean it's any better or any worse. It's just what it is, and it's like realistically today, look at Airbus, look at all there's so many other manufacturers right now that are making really cool, really affordable analog synths.
Totally agree.
Filled with character that are going to be the next legendary, are going to be the next. Oh wow, this was used on that. That's amazing. How did they get that sound?
But you know what I think. You know what I think is there's these Roland and Korg doing the Volcas and the boutiques, and when I look at it and I look at how many pictures there are on like Instagram of all these big hands with these little knobs and stuff, I just think it's a weird time. Even though it's a great time, it's a weird time. It's like, and then too, I saw one of the boutiques on the keyboard that they sell for it. And it really looks like the perspective of it all, it really hit me like a brick. Like, yo, this is weird as hell. Like, just think about, you got
What's
this
weird about it?
this powerful.
Yeah, but Stoney, you small. It ain't gonna be weird for you because you small.
Right.
Dude, I got big hands, and I'm just saying that there's so many small synth devices.
Corey,
like that.
I think it's the portability too, and like the performance aspect of things, right? I don't know what I missed, guys. Sorry, I jumped off.
No, it's all good. Another point.
When you think about the performance aspect, like I have a friend of mine, he's a EDM performer, and he doesn't use any laptops.
That makes
what I'm
sense.
saying? So he'll go out, he has his Prophet, he's got his Moog, and he's got this huge suitcase with like all these tons of synths that he goes on, and to perform with. But now he can have all these little boutique items, and he could still do his performance and rock out.
I agree.
It's not.
I agree.
Yeah, I certainly dig that.
Yeah, because I would love to have one of those TR-808 boutiques while I'm playing drums.
So
Absolutely.
The next thing I'm gonna bring it up here now too.
Yeah, because when you're performing live, I think all these things really speak to where we're going as far as live production and DJing and being a portable producer.
Mm-hmm.
Boom. So that brings us to this Roland. The next thing that they brought out on 808 Day is a replica of the TR-808, the classic TR-808. And y'all know, I don't know if y'all remember that D-Nice song, the TR-808 is coming. How come every time, no matter when I see a 808, those colors, that sound plays in my head, that actually song. So yeah, this is the TR-08, which, the first thing I thought, I'll be honest, I was like, yo, another 808. You know what I mean? But at the same time, I vacillated throughout the week, but I could see rocking that. But then part of me is like, I don't need another 808. Like, I got all these different sounds and stuff. But there's something about this. I think, Daniel, you made a good point when we talked about it. Something about having the tweakability of those knobs and, the classic look. It's not samples, so you get a lot more flexibility with it, with shaping the sound.
Now, my question is, and maybe Ken, you might know the answer to this, or Corey, you might know this. Are these fully MIDI CCable?
That's a
I
good question.
don't know. I do know that they had some problems with that initially with the first three
That's a great
boutiques,
question.
but then they supposedly, I had already sold mine by the time they said they did some improvements to the MIDI implementation, but I imagine it will be carried throughout the line. I just don't know what the improvements were.
Because I feel like I'll be completely on board if I can map out all these controls. So like, how Machine had that now you can MIDI map every single thing now. like to specific like pieces of devices. So I'm like, well, if I could just have this sitting off to the side and MIDI everything to my machine, I'll be straight. Like, it's cool, but at the same time, I'm like, I have really dope 808 samples that are, you know, sampled in super high resolutions, and I'm like, do I really need this, or is this for the person that's being introduced to the 808 for the first time?
Yeah,
because that makes more sense to me.
Or is it just for people who want to be collectors? I mean, that's kind of how I think a lot of this.
Why would you collect this versus the real 808?
Well, like, why would somebody collect model cars?
I don't know why they would do that, Ken.
I have a few, and I like them. Like, I've got some cool concept cars.
I feel you.
You know, I got all these. Look, dude. I'm the guy who's.
There you go. He's gonna pull out some
pull the stuff out.
Who's
Here's the time of the show when we pull out.
This is not. I mean, it's somewhat functional, but I'll tell you what. I cannot see through people's clothes with this. Like, it does not let me do everything that Iron Man can do. Okay. But I have it because it's cool. Okay.
Don't put that on and jump off the building.
That's about the only reason why I would buy that little TR-08. That's the only reason, because to me, I'm like, well, the sequencer isn't really any cooler. And it's, you know, the 808 is cool for what it is, but it's not like we can't get that same sound a million different ways. And it doesn't have to be 110% exact, but we can get that same sound so many other ways today. Every bit is deep, every bit is punchy, all that good stuff. And
also, speaking of punchy, though, Masada is in the chat room. He just mentioned that the I want to mention, he said that TR-08 doesn't sound as good as the original, that the TR-808 sounds more punchy. See, I don't know.
Does it matter?
I don't know about that either, because
it's going through a compressor at the end of the day anyway, right?
Well, this one even has a compressor on it, though. So you can make it as punchy as you want.
I'm still probably putting it through a better compressor. I'm just saying.
Hey, I'll run it through a distressor and make that joint punch.
Amen.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, so, but here's the thing, though. Again, it's like, why introduce this when you already have what was the name of the other joint? The
TR-8.
Like, I'm trying to understand the marketing behind it.
Yeah, they're cannibalizing themselves to a degree. If you think about it,
think it's just like it's just a weird little thing that they're capitalizing on the recognition of it, and they're just making a little bit of money, and that's what it is. It's
so I'll tell you what. If I had no laptop,
what if somebody just wants the 808 and can't afford the original one, and they've never had one before? What if it's just that?
That's the good marketing point. I think that's really what they're aiming at. Honestly, I can see that. Let me tell you this. Ken and you guys, y'all probably remember at one point I was talking about, what is it, the Nava, the what's that? There's a clone of the 909 and the 808. I was thinking about building one at one point.
Hold on.
Yeah, the Yocto.
Yeah, the Yocto.
Yeah. Yocto, and then there was another one. There's been so many, and
the thing is, I was gonna do that only because I feel like I want to have representations of classic drum machines.
Yeah.
Like I actually, because I'm so into drum machines, I want to collect them. I want to have some representation of them, and that would probably be the reason I would get this, because it's as close of a thing by the real company as I've seen.
Now, Corey, I was reading Peter Kern's article on Create Digital Music.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently there are some features on this that weren't on the original drum machine. Plus, I think this one you can actually tune all the 808s. Like, you can tune the actual kick drum one. You couldn't do that on the original, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean.
So, but let me ask you guys this: outside of a live performance, would you really be using this in your studio?
I know I would as a sound designer.
I use drum machines all the time.
Stoney, I would, because I'd run this through insane hardware and FX pedals and create.
Okay, well, then it's not a marketing thing. Then people really will use it.
So would you use that before you would reach for a TR-8, and you could just have 10 different?
Me personally, I don't know if.
Well,
I'd have to get my hands on it and play with it. I have to touch it, see if I like it. I didn't get enough time to make it.
I gotta see what the workflow is. Also,
I gotta feel. Yeah.
Also,
pause. I gotta feel it though. Pause.
The sequencer. what's the sequencer difference? That's what I want to know, because I know this new this new 808 one that came out, they have like these micro sequences in between, so that you can do like trap stuff that you really couldn't do that on the original 808. So I know that's a difference in the sequencer, but is that something that they're going to update on the TR8? Because if they're two different sequencers, then I have to make a decision based on that.
Yeah, just for me in general, like it doesn't make me angry in any way that it came out. It just doesn't inspire me to want to buy one at all. You know, and that's not everything has to, you know, like it's not, to me, it's just not a big deal.
Well,
it's not for a guy like you though, Ken.
Let me tell you, with me, I have my opinions about it, but honestly, it doesn't stop me from saying I would have it in the studio.
No, I feel the same here, Ken.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's what I've come to the conclusion of. I have the first thought I had was like, why are we rehashing this all the time? Why do they keep rehashing this? But at the same time, I understand that it's a cult classic, and even I, like myself, have to admit that I have an affinity for the 808 drum machine. And you know, as far as using it in the studio, I go through things like where I'll have the rhythm on for months at a time, and then I'll have it off for months at a time. So I go through that with drum machines where I really truly use the drum machines, especially after I started doing sound design, and when I can take those source sounds and turn them into anything I want.
Yeah, that's what, anything's a tool, man. That's
it. And when you have those different sound sources like that, and if you're doing sound design, or even if you're a producer who's kind of shaping his sound and doing all that kind of stuff, it's good to have those different source material kind of things, because then you have this wide palette of stuff that you can pull from. So,
I think in terms of sound design, you're right. I remember going to being at Rich Divine Spot, and he had the MPC 5000, and he had like some old EMU keyboard, and I remember having the same stuff in my storage unit. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I was like, I don't want to use that anymore, whatever. But he was using it and coming up with like all kinds of crazy sounds. So, you know, someone else's trash is someone else's treasure, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So it's to each his own. We use these things anyway. Like
I'm also kind of disappointed too, a little bit, because I'm the dude that desperately hopes that somebody invents something new.
Right.
You know, every time I hear like I don't know why my hopes get up. I think it's because when Roland first came out with the MV8000, I was super excited, and it was something new. Even though it was like a play off of the MPC, it was something that I'm like, oh wow, something new in this market.
That's the point.
Exciting. And I feel like when I saw the 808 announcement, I was like, I
think that was my feeling exactly.
But it's not new. It's like I'm like, come on, yo. Like, and I'm like, and I understand. Remember, these companies don't make decisions just randomly. They do research. What is it that people are asking for? Mm-hmm. Like when you turn on the radio, you hear an 808 in almost every single song that's on the radio. So they say to themselves, we're going to make another 808 just to keep perpetuating money.
Yeah. Well, but isn't that how the music industry is though? That's the only reason we hear the same type of songs over and over, is because nobody wants to be the first one. Nobody, you know what I'm saying? Like that is one of those things. People are not going to experiment when they got a sure thing.
No, people will.
People will, but these companies won't, because they got a bottom line. Most times they won't. But you know, I kind of think if they can find a balance, that'd be good.
Well, that's why I think all these huge companies need to start mini subsidiary companies, independent companies, that they hire guys like us to just go in and create this stuff. And when this stuff hits, here you go, we invented it, put it out.
Right.
Like when you.
Yeah.
Ken, what you over there doing, Ken?
Oh, I was stealing your voice for something.
He's this dude.
Did you just sample me while I was talking? I feel so violated, bro. Gosh, Hey, everybody, Ken just stole my voice in public, like freaking.
I had you talking about 808s. I was like, I gotta sample that real
Yo,
quick.
this guy stole my voice like Ursula from Little Mermaid. Clam.
But on the real though, I've taken part of our voices when I had the make noise morphogene.
Yeah,
That's some fun stuff, man. To put like a voice passage in the morphogene and go. And
I want one of those. I want one of those, Corey.
Yes, me too. So, hey, okay, but what about this other thing that Roland did on 808?
Let's talk about it.
No, I want to because I don't understand. Is it really something new, or did they really just kind of remix the remix machine?
That joint wasn't even remixed. It was like, here's a little bit of nail polish and some lipstick, and
they just mastered it, right? Turned it up. That's it. It's the same joint.
I got so upset because we had just talked about how the 404 needed to be updated.
Yeah.
I hit you guys up. I was like, oh man, look, they did it. And then I started reading the specs, and my face like slowly went down and down and down. And then I saw the back picture, and it was RCA still. I was like, oh, you gotta be kidding me,
bro! I think I had a stroke when I was reading the specs. I was like, nah, yo.
This is one of them times where I just want to be like I want to roll up a newspaper and hit Roland on the nose like a bang. No.
And why do we call it A though? What's the A supposed to represent?
Aria.
Assholes. Oh, sorry. My bad. Sorry about that.
No, it's all good.
I call it like I see it.
Nah, it's Aria, dog.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
that's what it is.
What makes this an Aria thing?
Because it's green.
Because it's green? Because of the pattern? The pants are upgraded.
I think they made one change to the US to the mid
pass through USB now so that it can
does it have USB? I don't think
hold on. Let me clarify. I'm not sure if it's pass through, or I know that the sequencer ties in better with the TR8 sequencer now.
No, it's no USB. It's the MIDI in.
Yeah.
Now the TR8 sequencer can sequence this.
But does that mean that the USB on this will not work with the Aria mixer? Because wouldn't that kind of be like the whole point of it being an Aria product? Is that their performance mixer lets you like not use the direct inputs and you can just use the digital? Like, hi, you guys.
Yes, that's the point. They I don't know what they were thinking
on their own thing. That's weird. I don't know the deal with that.
Yo, first of all, how much is this?
$4.99.
Yeah.
Look, for $4.99, give me some balanced quarter inches.
Yeah, really.
Give me some, I don't want noise when I'm sampling.
Yeah, supposedly they
improved
the sequencer a little bit, I think. But yeah, it's just, it's ridiculous.
So the Roland SP404SX is $4.99 and the Roland SP404A is $4.99.
Oh, it's so ridiculous.
That's super weird, yo.
Yo, you just got me angry, Corey. I'm over here. Yo, somebody get me a stuffed animal so I can rip the head off. Yeah.
That's a tripped out thing, man.
Let me you guys discuss amongst yourselves. I have to go grab
certainly.
He's over here about to sample all of us, man. Look, Corey, so I have the SP404SX.
Right.
And it's great. But I wish the sequencing was better. I wish it had like a dope sequencer. But I understand that the lack of the dope sequencer is kind of the magic of this machine.
That's what I was gonna point to, because that's what's created this huge following.
Yeah, man, it's pretty dope. And what I've been doing is I chain my SP404 into my KP3 Plus.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm actually affecting both with each other all the time.
Dope.
So it's been a cool experience when it comes to designing sounds. But I feel like if they put a really dope I don't want to say MPC style sequencer, but if they put a really dope sequencer into the SP404,
mm-hmm.
it could really be like an affordable
powerhouse.
powerhouse,
Yeah,
man.
it could be a real contender. That's one thing I was telling last time I was on Sonic State. Me and Nick Bat was talking
Yeah.
about the SP404 came up, and you know, in general, most of us kind of look at that as like it's something that sits with DJs and they
Yeah.
trigger sounds and that's it. But I was like, nah,
Nah, it's dope.
it is something that people have created a whole like subgenre of beat making with just
I
that.
make hella beats on this joint.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yep.
And really, since like the 303 and like, well, really, you could go back to the 202 with those things. I mean, those things were a staple in every dirty DJ setup that I can remember. Like,
Mad Lib made his whole career off of the 303.
yeah, I mean, those things I can remember just every like, and they were always covered in so many ashes.
Yeah.
I can remember like every lab I go to where my boys have them, they were part ashtray, part sampler.
Yeah, man.
Always dirty. Always dirty, man. The pads would be all brown and crusty. Didn't matter, man. You get over there, you make some dope stuff on them, man.
Oh, man.
But
Yeah, I think Roland. I just think they dropped the ball with this one, because it could have been better. Like I would have even been happy if they gave the features to the SP404 that the old SP606 had. You guys remember that?
I had one of those, yeah.
Those are pretty cool because it was like a mini MV8000.
It was. I wouldn't go that far.
No, I mean like the sequencer.
It was kind of like to me. It was like, hey, you don't have enough money for an MPC, buy this and get frustrated.
Yeah, no, I feel you, but it was I'm talking about the sequencer though.
Yeah, it was fun to mess with, but I wouldn't want it to turn into SP555 or SP606. I want it to still be a 404, but I just want it upgraded and made a little bit more ready for today's, today.
No, I feel you. Like USB,
where they went
USB MIDI. Like if that joint had USB MIDI on it.
Yeah.
But let me just ask you that. Would the 404 really be as popular as it is, even with its limitations that have made it special, but would it really be as popular as it is if it didn't have those effects?
No, it wouldn't.
No, definitely.
Yeah.
Because that's mostly why people buy it.
That's exactly it. Yep. I mean, I literally see more people now starting to get these for the whole sake of running alongside their MPC or their machine. You know what I mean? Just to trick out the beats and while out while.
Sorry, I have it set up as a send.
Word. There you go.
Ableton, and I send everything through the SP into the KP3, and that's how everything gets processed, man.
I wanted to show you something else that is worth talking about a little bit. Is these guys? If I can make you say it, the Phosphor from Audio Damage.
Wait,
and
I love that joint. That joint's crazy.
Their new iOS stuff is ridiculous.
What is it? Can like tell us what kind of synth is it?
So what's cool about this thing is it's an additive synthesizer, and it's basically a damn, what's the name of the synth? I'm spacing on the name of the vintage synth.
Centauri?
Yeah, the Centauri.
Yeah.
And it's so awesome because in touchscreen form, like I did a bunch of presets for the plugin, and I kept telling him, I was like, dude, I want to get the iOS one like right away. Like, send me that iOS, because it lends itself so nicely to let me turn down the lights a little bit so you can see it. It lends itself so nicely to a touchscreen because it's additive, and you can just draw in the harmonics on this thing.
Yeah.
Well, you can see it. But you can draw in the harmonics, and it's got like a vintage mode on it and everything. So you can make it sound like real dirty and grungy, and it's just really immediate to use and just fun. So, but all their plugins they've been starting to release them over on iOS, and dude, that's pretty dope. Like
I'm waiting.
How much is that going for, Ken?
$7, I think.
Yeah, it's cheap. It's somewhere like $6.99, I think. Totally worth it.
She'll get that. Sure.
I'm waiting for them to drop the Combinat and the new chorus on iOS. That's what I'm waiting.
They load right into Beatmaker 3 because they're AU plugins basically. The other one that he actually just sent me this one the other day, which just came out, is the Quattro mod.
Oh, it's out?
I don't know if it's out. I think it is. But yeah, so that one just came. So
Yeah, hold on. Let me look on my
It's
iPad.
tough to see 'em.
but yeah, their effects and everything are just fantastic. And
Yeah, I downloaded all of their effects.
iOS now.
Audio for those who don't know, we talk about audio damage iOS apps. They make modules and software. Now they're making iOS apps that are just dynamite.
Yeah, and you can load them right up into like BeatMaker 3 as a plugin. So it makes something like BeatMaker 3 feel more like a complete environment now, which is really dope.
All right, let's see if this Quattro mod is up because I'm not good. Yo, so here's my question for all of you. Do you think Roland has more up their sleeve?
Yeah, I believe it.
Every year, I say this oftentimes whenever we bring this up. Every year I go to NAMM, I run to the Roland booth, and every year it's another freaking organ. One of these days, they're going to have something cool. One of these days, they're going to realize that the V-Synth was a dope product, that people loved it. One of these days, they're going to realize that the MV line was just scratching the surface of where they were heading. Like, one of these days, they're going to just move forward again. I'm waiting.
Wait, you see what Masada just said? Look at the chat. He's over here playing with our hearts.
Yeah, well, and I still
He
feel
says,
like
I've seen it. Okay.
I still feel like an ATV based sampler is a wonderful idea. Like,
Yeah.
I really like that idea a lot.
Well, you know, we've said it before, right? I think we've said before when we had my man Blake on here from Yamaha. Yeah. You know, the fact of the matter is a lot of those companies like that are watching companies like Akai and with their new product line, and watching companies even like Electron. And if these products do well and there's a demand for them and the market kind of gets rejuvenated to their standards, then they're going to start dropping stuff. I could see that happening, but I kind of feel like, you know, that's an interesting position to take for the juggernauts in the you know, that space, in the pro audio space. Like you're Yamaha, you're Roland, like lead the pack. Like do the research, lead the pack, go and serve that market. The DJ market, which includes like samplers and drum machines and stuff, you know what I'm saying? That market is probably one of the biggest growing markets over the last 10 years. Like if that ain't enough to tell you that you need to serve that market, I don't know what is.
I feel like Novation is gonna come and sucker punch everybody in the face out of nowhere.
I agree. Novation.
They're gonna be like, guess what? Circuit Pro, that joint got everything built into it, and
they got dope developers. They got great people on board. They got some cool ideas. They could definitely do some damage. I mean, there's a lot of people out there that could do some cool stuff, man. Like, there's more I would say, but I can't. But I'll say this: I think that with the way things are going as far as standalone pieces of gear, I think there's a lot of room for other players, and I don't mean just like dolls and samplers. I mean, there's room for people to learn, like these companies to learn the lessons of going so heavy on software. Learn those user interface lessons and then apply those, you know, with all that advancement in DSP and all that stuff, apply it to compact, but not cramped, you know, hardware boxes. You know, I just feel like there's
you know what? Yeah, there's a problem because there's a tendency to say, oh, like 80s, oh, analog is dead, digital is where it's at, stop doing analog. Mistake. Or there's a tendency to say 90s. Oh, hardware is dead. Stop doing hardware. Start doing software. You know what I mean? Like, or 90s and should say 2000s. I'm just saying, like, even and so now it's like, you know, I kind of feel like what these companies need to be doing is saying there's a lot of great technology and a lot of great formats. How can we get the best out of all of it? how can we serve the market in a way that gives you either something new or some combination of what's great about old and what's great about new? No, but they tend to throw away the old in order to do the new. Or right now we're stuck in this retro rehash. You know what I mean? But let me also say, Stoney and I was talking one time, and Stoney, see if you remember this. Remember we were talking about, like, say for instance, Akai with the MPC 5000 or the MPC X, that it tries to be the every machine, right? And it does well at what it does, but I mean, it has a CV, it has the big screen, it has the, you know, the MPC software, has the DAW and all of that. And, you know, some of this stuff is great for new people to MPC. Some of it is not so great for people that are nostalgic for the older stuff.
Right.
So I think you had, like, we talked about it, and this is not the first time that I've talked to somebody about it, but it kind of seems like maybe it would have been dope for them to do the classic stuff and have that as a line, and then do all their new stuff as like that new thing, innovative with all of the tricks in it. You know what I mean?
I mean, I think they should have, you know, I think they for sure should come out with a piece that speaks to all the, you know, nostalgia for whoever is a diehard PC user. But then the new stuff is refreshing also. But like you said, you know, I don't know. I don't know. I think, you know, it depends on who's using it, and, you know, the nostalgic guys use the old pieces though. Like they like their 3000s. They like the 3000s, so they use the 3000s. Coming out with a newer old piece.
I like how politically you put that. The nostalgic guys.
Not the old guys, the nostalgic guys.
Ken, yo man, listen, listen. MPC heads. A dude, cats that use MPC use MPC. You see Jermaine.
I got my MPC right behind me.
Jermaine Dupri has his MPC 60 Mark II. He's got his 3000. He's using his 3000.
It's okay. It's okay.
Right. You know, I think
I'm not saying that it's wrong. I'm just saying I think it's funny that that's the term that you use for that.
Nostalgic guys.
The nostalgic guys. But here's the thing though about that.
Think about it. It's not nostalgic. Like, come on.
I think a lot of times
people
get comfortable with a certain type of paintbrush, and that's totally fine. Like, there's nothing wrong.
No, but it is nostalgia, because when they first had that first drum machine, that feeling you got when you got your 2000. Come on.
I still have mine, and I love it. I love it to this day. I plugged it up.
Right, and then when you want to feel that feeling, when you want to feel that feeling, you're not going to go get an MPC X to feel that. You're going to pull out your 2000.
That's true. That's very true. Because that X is not.
It's nostalgic. It's a feeling. It's a feeling you get, like, yo, I remember when I first, you know.
So are the nostalgic guys
the stuff is
TR-08?
What's that?
I said, are the nostalgic guys going to buy a TR-08?
No.
Can you have nostalgia with cramped fingers? I'm just wondering.
You can have a lot of things with cramped fingers. That's another conversation.
Pause.
Whoa, Nelly!
Pause. But
I'm doing
hey. Imagine this for a second. You got the X and the Live, and I think they're both dope. I keep seeing, even people in our crew are getting, you know, like Willie.
Got it. Yeah.
He got the Live, and he loves it, and he's just wanting to know more about how to use it better. I obviously love my MPCX. So those are new things, right? But it's familiar enough, but just new enough too, right? But what if there was like the scenario where that's the new stuff, but they had like Adidas? Adidas ain't never gonna stop selling shell toe.
I got what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Adidas, you're never gonna stop seeing these. But you always gonna have.
You see him. He's showing off. He's showing off now.
You gotta, of course. But I'm just saying, you always gonna see these shoes for Adidas. But you're always gonna see that new stuff with the sock fill, the knit, and all that.
So what basically you're saying is they should keep reissuing the older pieces and making the older pieces better, and then still have the newer Lives and the X's and the touches. And
I think that would be a cool approach.
I agree.
Those parts don't exist no more.
You say what?
Right.
I don't think they can, because some of those parts just don't exist no more. Or I don't know.
They could do the newer, updated version of it. You know what I'm saying? I feel like they could. I mean, you know, I got a MPC 62, and what was the lineage? The 60, the 62, the 3000. and then they start coming out with the 2000s and all that kind of stuff. But what if they did continue, like, you know, the 3000? I'm not talking about like the 5000 that was supposed to be the 3500. I'm saying
Now
something.
I want to say something. I just read something Masada said, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And he made a point. He said there
There
wouldn't
isn't
be
enough
any
money.
money in that.
Yeah.
You heard what he said? You read it?
Yep, I saw it. That's
Like, how
depressing.
many cats are really going to spend $2,000 on a piece? You know, like,
Well, but see, but
with
that's
that
the
money-
thing. We don't have to keep putting it like. I think that's what Roland is doing, right? Ain't Roland doing that? Roland, if they wanted to create a brand new,
okay, so you said
analog
Akai should come out with a
808,
small,
maybe
an
yeah,
affordable MPC.
figure out a way to do it. Yeah, because I think that kind of thing
Tried
could.
it before.
Mm.
They tried
They
it with
tried it before. With
The
the what?
2000 was technically the affordable MPC. The live
see-
is technically the affordable MPC. Now,
Yeah.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Like, and I'm not taking anything away from that, but I'm just saying, like, what if they went with a scenario to say, like, the Live and the X are our new flagship things. That's our new
you want to
technology.
do a Renaissance that's actually a Renaissance, like where it's actually a 2000 classic or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
With
Right.
updated features. Like take the approach like Behringer took with everything. You know what I'm saying? And they made a new thing that has, you know, those qualities, but it's in a smaller package potentially, and it appeals to those that are nostalgic for those older things.
Yo, somebody mentioned the MPC 500.
I
No,
did.
Yo,
but I don't
Stop
like
playing with me, Masada. Stop playing, boy.
that. Masada, I don't like that.
Stop playing in the chat room, man. Seriously?
man, he out here hurting feelings.
Come
But
on now.
you know what? I know the realities of like the marketing and bottom line and what money is not in this and that. But I'm just saying, you know, hey,
It would be nice.
it would be nice. I think that would be a dope approach. And
Okay, Corey, can you do me a favor?
Yeah.
Can you do me a favor? Masada is in the chat room.
yep.
Let him join this chat right now.
Yeah, send him
Yeah.
a link.
Get him in,
Yeah,
send him a link. Get him in the room right now.
come on, man.
I want to hear what he got to say because you know
Put
he's.
on. I'm about to give you the
Let's
link
get
to
him in
join
here.
this.
Yeah, let's get him in here. And don't act like you can't jump in, fool.
We
Yo,
never got a camera on you because you got your damn iPhone, so I don't want to hear it.
yo, Mike
Get in,
put
get in here
MPC
now.
with mini pads. He said, "Do an MPC boutiques with mini pads."
I was thinking the same thing. I was like, yo, they should use MPC, right, and have it all push buttons, but the push buttons are so small you physically can't do a damn thing.
Nah, they
The pen.
like the size of launch pad, like launch pads, yo. Oh man,
I'd be with it.
nah, that would be torture for me, yo. Like, hey, yo, I'm about to use my MPC. You take that.
You know what though? The thing is that an MPC like realistically is not something like a TR8, TR808. Like the TR
Nah, you need real pads on the MP, dog.
is
Come
so
on.
much more basic when it comes to the sequencer and all. Like the amount of work that goes into getting a proper operating system for something like that. If you're gonna do like a you know, like an affordable range or a smaller budget thing, like it's still a lot of work that goes into those things. Those sequencers
Let
are
JJOS handle that. And then pay
complex.
him a little bit of money and go ahead and do. You know what? Companies could do what they want to do.
You say pay him a little bit of
That's
money,
true.
but from what I understand, it was more than just a little bit of money that caused the problem. So
Well, I mean, whatever the case.
maybe
I'm
that
just
was,
saying,
was that they wanted
I'm
to
just
pay
saying,
him
and
a
that's-
little
and
bit.
in that scenario, companies can make happen what they want to make happen. And I'm just saying,
Okay, he's in the building, y'all.
I'm just saying that if you don't take chances, you know, sometimes people that take chances or the companies take chances will get those payoffs. You never know how it might pay off.
That's
If
what I'm
nothing
telling
else.
you, Corey. I feel like
Yeah.
innovation is gonna come out of nowhere.
Yep. And it's not out of nowhere because they've been making moves that are like
Yo,
progressive
as soon as I saw, as soon as I saw Circuit, I was like, wait, there's
when
something.
they added that sampling update and
Yeah.
they've been on top of the updates, man. Like it's their developers are not sleeping. They're doing interesting
Is
things.
Masada in there?
Yo, as soon as I saw Circuit, I was like, wait.
You better mute
Oh,
that YouTube channel.
Yo, I'm hearing myself in the past.
Man, like
Hold on, let me
Developers are not-
mute him until he can get his
But on the
shit
radio, you hear an 808 in almost every single song that's on the radio. Yo, send me that, Ken. Yo, down sample that. Yo, big crush that joint and then send it to me.
That's dope.
Y'all can hear me?
Yeah, what up, Masada?
Yo,
What's up? How you doing? Respect everyone in here. What's up?
What's going on, man? How are you?
All right. It's a pleasure to be here, man. I love all you
So
guys.
what's this
man.
MPC 500 shit you talking, man?
I wasn't saying nothing about no 500. I just said it was the affordable MPC. Y'all said it was the affordable. I said it's the affordable MPC.
I said the same thing, but they don't listen to the white guy, so it's okay.
Oh shit, Ken, you're white? Oh,
Oh,
sorry.
I did not know.
Check the melanin. It comes in spots.
Man, yeah. Nah, but hey, Corey, if I can get on this real quick, you were saying something about the MPC with you were talking about like make a legacy, like have like the Adidas. But what I'm saying to you is that honestly, these companies, what we seem to miss is that these companies are trying to make money. You know what I mean? Everything they do is about making money. And me as somebody who sits behind the scenes like you, like Ken, or whatever, like Daniel, we see that ultimately they're just really about making money. There's no money. I know how many MPCs sell. MPCs don't sell as much as you think they do.
Yeah, certainly. But here's the thing. Here's what I know about, like, and the different industries are different. All I'm saying is, well, one, it's just my little fantasy land of like, yo, that would be cool. The other thing is, I heard recently that like a company like Adidas is like the #1 athletic shoe company in the world because they take those kinds of chances to keep their legacy alive along with innovating new stuff. Now, I don't know that would work across the board with something like this niche market. Who knows? It probably wouldn't, and it probably wouldn't be enough money. This is the same thing you're saying right there. It's the same reason we never got another update to the MPC 5000 after it was promised.
Well, there's a lot of reasons.
Yeah, there's a lot of reasons why.
Yeah, but I think it came down to like the bottom line is really what's going to tell the story. What's in that? They were busy developing something else. There ain't enough hands on deck to be doing all of that stuff. Well, so I can understand that. But it would be nice, I think.
Well, I think one of the main in my time inside the industry and getting to know these companies on a personal level and behind the scenes level, one of the running themes that I've noticed is that a lot of these companies, especially the ones that grow and get bigger and bigger and have hit products, is they tend to forget the people who got them where they were.
I agree.
I
agree.
Absolutely.
Over and over again.
And that is sickening.
Every time it happens.
But you know what? But you know what, Ken? That also speaks.
It's not for lack of warning either. It's like, hey, like you really shouldn't do this. You shouldn't lose this guy, or you shouldn't have this happen, and blah blah blah. You should maybe be listening to that. Every time it happens, there's people throwing banners up trying to get the people's attention, and it never works. It always ends up crumbling.
That speaks to the reason why you have a Jermaine Dupri that will always have his MPC 3000. The tools that they can depend on, that they know is going to work for them no matter what. You know what I'm saying? Whereas, cats I know that use the Renaissance or use the MPC Live or the X, these are new features and people getting accustomed to the new stuff, but a lot of the old stuff, people know they can depend on that stuff. And so they keep their old pieces.
Chat made a good point, and I think he like expands upon my point where he said, Roland is doing what Adidas did to stay relevant, guest designers. And I mean, look at Roland with the Studio Electronics thing. I'm just saying that, I'm sure it took them a while to think of like, how could people want us to re-release all these things? How could we somewhat satisfy the market, but not kill ourselves with the development and, do something that's easy to make, quick to get out there. Now, when it comes out, we all gonna say those joints too small or whatever the reasons. But
yo, Corey, look, that 808 that just came out, I would have been happy if it was ACB technology, but just the size of an actual 808.
Word.
Like, don't make that joint
a little bit smaller. Maybe a little bit smaller.
Yeah, maybe a little bit smaller, like the size of an Electron machine or something.
Yeah, exactly.
But like,
it doesn't need to be.
Like, yo, who was out of Roland saying, you know what? let's make this a boutique. Like, no, like.
I think that's a matter of manufacturing, in my opinion. I think it's just easier to make these little bitty boxes, and they found a format that they like that's their own.
Yeah, I just want to add to that, Corey. I really think that somebody finds the profit margin is great, is big enough on that. I think that's what it really comes down to. That's why you have people like Ken, yourself, Daniel, Stoney constantly frustrated at these companies. We're like, yo, why don't you do this and do that? You know, and they're looking at their profit.
Right.
Well,
And it's ultimately leaving us frustrated.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when you start having conversations and you start seeing the money man side of things, where it's like, okay, you have to strip away X amount of features in order to try to make this price point, this, that, and the third, and you start understanding what the metrics are.
Yes.
You know, even with that being the case, it still comes down to there are very few head of product designs that really get it, that make music like that, and that have the forward thinking, because you can't make a product for today. You have to make a product for, 3 years from now.
Exactly.
Really,
It has to have a life cycle.
There's a few guys out there that are top notch like that, but they are few and far between.
Few. And most of these guys aren't even really musicians at heart. Like, they don't get it. You come to them with a great idea and they don't get it until their competition comes out and do it.
Yeah, and then along with that, you see things where it's like, okay, well, then they do have a guy who gets it, or comes up with a great product. Now they put them on 15 other products, and they say, okay, you need to come up with all these products, and you're the head of all these products because you had this success. And like, dude,
but you know the way innovation happens, and the way those kinds of things happen, right? Like, they take one guy who's maybe got some potential, or maybe they don't like them, and they stick them. You make the thing and go in the room, go away from us. What worse, the rest of us work on.
Go make the thing. Go make the thing, bro.
Make the thing, man. And you take these couple of losers, and y'all go in there, and y'all make something, and it becomes a runaway hit if you're lucky, and that becomes something. You know what I mean?
Yo, you know what's a cool company that I always think about, and they only have like 5 products, is Teenage Engineering.
Yeah.
They only got Obi-Wan, the Pocket Operator,
but they have freelance work that they've done for other.
Oh, they do. No, they do. Like, for instance, they help design the machine drum. And they helped design the machine drum. So I think companies like that are focusing on what they're strong in, and then they're lending their hand in other areas for other people. Like, dude, Electron's another one of those companies. I'm like, man, if they came out with an actual, well, I don't know. I feel like there is something else they're gonna come out with.
It's coming.
Because Digitech is like, ha, we got this, but we got something better than this coming out later.
You know that's what it is.
Corey, quiet. You know it's coming.
The Digitech is, to me, is the equivalent to the MPC Touch versus Live, or you know what I mean, like, or that in that string of things, and it
needs a slice feature. It needs a slicing.
How it seems like these companies will stop at a point and be like, "Oh, we're testing this. It's working out well. Well, this is actually a good place to stop and put out a product. It will continue developing towards our actual idea." You know what I mean?
I think it's there though,
like what Digitech is.
Yeah, because I feel like Digitech is like a tease.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like this is a really good device, but I feel like there's stuff that we see in Rhythm and there's stuff that we see in the Octatrack that really should be here in this thing. So what are you guys not telling us?
And not to mention, I mean, the Rhythm NK2 is gonna have the basically the sample engine from Digitech.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know that for sure, but when I read the specs, that's what it looks like.
Well, except that it's in mono, because the Octatrack one is stereo sampling.
Yeah.
So that's just the only difference. But if you add a slicer to Digitech, I'm straight.
Yeah, you're right. It would be extra dope with that.
Yeah, just let me slice joints up and I'll be good. But again, their workflow is so niche that
I'm still looking at things like you remember when UVI had their drum machine?
Yeah.
Wait, UVI had a drum machine?
Yeah.
It was and everybody thought it was hardware at
Oh,
first.
BPM. You talking about BPM?
Yeah, BPM.
Yeah, that was
Waiting for
awesome.
some of those companies, you know, because they have tie-ins with hardware companies as well. Like there's a lot of sleeping giants out there that could do some really cool stuff that I would love to see, you know, kind of break onto the scene in that way. You see like UAD, you see you know, what's the name of that other one? FXpansion.
Softtube, man, all those companies have some pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of guys out there who have understanding of like, because really when it comes down to it, a lot of the simple stuff that's on the front end that people talk about, that's the basic stuff. But when you get into the under layer and you start dealing with, you know, sequencing of multiple MIDI tracks, and you start getting into, you know, issues with timing and this sort of thing, these companies that have developed software that already handle a lot of this stuff, those are the guys that like would be prime and ready to go, you know? And I would love to see that kind of I'd love to see more software companies entering into the hardware space, you know?
Yeah, that would be,
because there's a lot of really talented developers on that
So
side.
that's an interesting point you make. What if
So you don't
they
feel
start to
like
be-
we have enough, but you don't feel like we have enough hardware already?
Well, I don't. And I'll tell you why, because a lot of the
think that
hardware that
could be
comes
either-
out to me has either stagnant ideals or is laid out in a way that just screams that they had like way too many cooks in the kitchen.
Right.
You know, there's a lot of issues with it, and I think
maybe it's time for collaboration.
somebody new,
But-
new life. You know,
Yeah,
like
but Ken-
somebody who hasn't done hardware before, somebody who comes at it from a fresh angle of a user interface that we
Right.
haven't experienced yet. All of that,
But so can I break in for a second?
of course.
Hey, see, Ken said this is my issue, and I always talk about this with Stoney a lot. And when me and Corey met at NAMM or whatever else like this, we went over this. My whole thing is, you have people such as yourself. You're smart, right? You have Corey, right? Why are we just sitting around waiting for these companies to do the things we want to do?
I am not.
I'll see, and that's the approach we should all be taking, in my opinion.
Corey and Steele and that.
I mean, you got to look at
They all
Daniel.
know. That's the
look
last
at Daniel
thing
what
that I
they
do.
doing. Right. Look at Daniel what they're doing. It's like the influence, the power, the mind, everything is there. I just think that, you know, by us sitting here waiting for these guys to make what it is that we want, it's never going to happen because money is
Well,
there.
that's what I was just about to say is so what might look like sitting around is more like plotting, scheming, and
Right.
situating.
Right.
Because it's not as easy.
I'm trying to win the lottery so that I can put down 200,000, 500,000 on machines so I can 3D print metal boxes so I can do all that. That's what I want. Like if I had money, I would literally be making my own hardware all the time.
That's
see,
key.
But
key.
I hear that. But what I'm saying is that I know several developers, and money isn't really the thing. The thing is about resources. It's about there's so many people who follow you guys or whatever who can come in who know code, and we can get like devices.
That's always been my approach. I mean,
yeah.
not to get too deep into this because
Yeah, right. We don't want to get too deep in public, but I'm just saying.
ready to talk about. But what I'll say is this: my approach has always been. I do a lot of product consulting, and I also, you know, I know a lot of developers, both hardware engineers and coding engineers, and you know, I talk with a lot of them, and you know, I know what my strong suits are, and I know what my weaknesses are, and I try to make sure that it's known ahead of time. Like, look, okay, this is what I'm trying to do, and sometimes what we envision, the infrastructure isn't quite there for, so then you have to create that infrastructure.
Right.
Yeah.
So it becomes it's a much longer process than just simply saying, okay, I'm going to grab a couple of developers and we're going to make this happen right now.
Right.
There's a company out there that did that, and I applaud them to the high heavens. And most people talk nothing but trash on them. But I'll tell you what, when the Beat Kangs did their thing, they were indie guys who got aggressive and they wanted to make it happen. Now, there was a lot of lessons to learn from what they did wrong. A lot. And I'm not disputing that. But you cannot dispute that those guys accomplished something that a lot of people don't think about.
That's right.
They actually did it before everyone.
That's right. And a lot of people came and took some of their ideas.
Yeah,
Certainly.
yeah, that hardware was ahead of its time for
Yes, it was.
the time period that it came out.
Well,
Yeah, who are we talking about, Ken? Ken, who are you talking about?
The Beat Bang. Beat
Oh, I don't think
You're-
that's what Masato was talking about. He was saying that instead of complaining about it,
Do
the
something.
creative people need to actually start actually doing something about it instead of
That's
just
exactly
sitting
what
there
I'm talking
complaining.
about.
That's what he's saying.
What I'm saying is that
That's what Ken's talking about.
Anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just saying that this is a company who did something like that, and they went about it in the best method that they had available.
Yeah, but that's cool. That was the past. He's talking about right now.
Oh yeah, trust me.
We know about Beat Thing.
No,
That's cool.
Right now, Stoney.
No, guys, let's look at guys like Maleko.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
These
Yep.
guys are building stuff.
New
that's
boxes.
fun. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo,
Right.
I can't wait to get my hands on Manther, or that sounded really wrong. I can't wait to get my
I have
hands
to get my hands on man.
No, you
Wow.
said it right. Go ahead.
Wow, Daniel.
Huh? No, I'm just saying, I just can't wait to get my hands on it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, all their stuff is looking great. They got
Right.
Ben Davis is on there, and I know Ben is a madman.
Yo, Ben is a mad scientist, bro.
Josh Hawley is aggressive at getting things done. I mean,
Right.
they're one to watch, you know.
Right.
But even that product, I mean, as deep as that product is, and I'm not belittling it even a little bit, but what I'm saying is a project like that is far less ambitious than something like Beat Thang, where you're sequencing multiple MIDI tracks and you're and sampling and all of that stuff, and the hardware that was involved in that, and there's a lot of work involved in these sorts of things.
Right.
Yeah, Ken, I think what he's saying is we know there's work involved, but it's time for like new blood.
That's right.
That's
We all know.
what he's saying. It's time for new
So
blood.
many times-
We know about the past.
Right.
We know about that.
Right.
That's cool.
So many times we sit
What he's saying
around
is-
and make excuses and stuff like this, like with no disrespect to Daniel. Daniel just like, I'm trying to get this money so I can get this machine to do this and that. Yo, you can go to Micro Center right now and go get a machine that'll print your stuff up in 3D form, and it doesn't cost that much. And I'm not but Daniel, please don't take it the wrong way. I'm just saying is like these are things that we could do. You know what I mean? I'm doing things behind the scenes like Ken or whatever else like that. I'm noticing that all of us always saying, well, why don't they do this? Why don't they do that? They're never going to do that.
No, I feel you. So like stuff that I'm doing is like I'm trying to figure out how to use a Raspberry Pi
Right.
to build the beat machine.
Exactly.
That I want. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
So there's a space
You
for all
own
of
it.
that too,
You
though,
own it.
right?
Right.
There's really a space for all of that.
Yes.
Let's take it back to like the first Beat People show. But we were talking about sound design,
Uh-huh.
and Joe said, "Yo, I ain't doing none of that."
Yeah. So it was like, nope, I ain't doing none of that.
And like everybody ain't built to be building stuff.
Right.
And
That's true.
but at the same time, as a consumer, that's part of the discussion, right? As a consumer, you're always gonna wish like, yo, why didn't they make them shell toes in this color with that color? Well, bro, everybody don't want a mustard shell toe with black stripes. You know what I'm saying? Like, just to be facetious and kind of outlandish about it. But I think there's space for all of it. But one thing I can say is that like all of us in this room have certain influence and have been a part of certain discussions for stuff that should have come out, will come out, maybe will never come out. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of us have even been in discussions about like possibly doing, our own things. But just like the big companies, it takes resources and stuff. And then I think too, sometimes it comes down to that Joe stance, like, yo, I don't want to do none of that, but I want them to make what I want.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's a delicate balance. It's a weird thing, man.
Yeah, Masada, another thing too is time. Time is an issue because it's like when you think about like us, man, like me, Ken, Corey, Stone, we're all career, we all have careers, that we work on. And I always talk about this with my friends, like, man, what if we did this? First person I would have to talk to is my wife. Be like, hey, if I do this, will you still love me and stay with me? Because I'm about to go in 100% on this beat machine, whatever that I'm making, and just letting you know, that's where all our money is going to be going. Because one thing that I know about creatives, when I look at people like Steve Jobs, when I look at people like Jimmy Iovine, I just finished watching Defiant Ones. When I look at all that stuff, all these dudes put everything on the line
I understand.
for
That's
this one
That's
thing.
true.
And I am that kind of person.
Yeah.
But right now, I'm just like, well, I'm in a place in life where I'm just like, I can't do that right now. But I have these ideas in my head
Right.
that I could just give to somebody and be like, yo, let's,
Right.
you know,
real
so
rap. That's real. That's
Right.
real talk, D.
That's
I
real.
feel, and,
That's
and,
real.
and I do feel like new blood is around the corner. Like when I think
Facts.
I know that that's what's needed.
Facts.
I know that that's what's needed, though.
when I think about every time I mention Novation, the reason I mention them is because they're fairly new to the sequencer
Yeah.
drum sampling thing, right? They're new because we've only known them for synths for such a long time, and they made a drum machine back in the day. What was it, Ken? What was the name of that 808 kind of clone?
Yeah, not the A station. It was
The
it
drums.
was one of the stations. It was one of the stations.
Was it a drum station? But they
Yeah, that's it.
the drum machine. So you could see when they start diving into certain waters, when they're like, let's test this out. Let's see how this is going to work. And if it doesn't work, you quickly see them not throw it out, but integrate it into something else that they're making.
Mhm.
Yeah, and it's the evolution of the products that
Yeah.
it comes down to.
Mhm.
So I just wanted to put this up on the screen though. The Maleco Heavy
Oh,
Industry.
man, those are, I'm
machines
so
that we were
excited
talking
for
about.
those joints, man.
So this is the kind of stuff that I
Oof.
see as like these are the independent companies or the smaller companies that are innovating things that people want
Yeah, I
and
love
that the
these
bigger
things.
companies could be doing. And this is the kind of company too that Roland tapped to help bring them back into the modular space.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying?
And we'd be remiss to not mention, what you call that fucking company? Twisted Tools and not Twisted Tools. Hold on.
Twisted Tools, those are the people that work with Reactor, right? With Native.
Hold on. The MIDI fighter cats.
Electronic.
like we'd be
Oh,
remiss to
yeah, DJ
Tech Tools. I mean,
Yep.
yeah, those guys, and they've been around for so long. Like this thing is like what, 5 years now? 5-6 years old?
Mhm.
And I could do anything with this thing,
Mhm.
you know?
So
See, I think so there's a lot of stuff that's out there. Like there's the innovation I think will come from the smaller companies, but I also think that there may need to be collaborations too.
yeah,
What if a company like Maleco hooked up with like Intua, who did the beat maker? You know what I mean? I don't know, just out the box type of collaborations, and you never know what could happen from that kind of stuff. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Yeah, I'd like to see
Oh,
more
yeah.
collabs.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, I've been involved on a very extensive sequencer as of late that's built from scratch with a brand new developer, and I'll tell you, some of these dudes are so hungry that it's just there's a fire out there right now, and the fact of the matter is that now more than ever, guys can do things on their own that
yeah.
could never be done before.
Yeah.
So
Right.
you're gonna start seeing more of these smaller companies that are doing this stuff, but it kind of also makes me think, well, if these smaller companies are all doing it, does that mean that the larger companies are losing the talent? And how does that affect
Yeah.
the large?
Ken, you are saying what I'm telling you. This my whole point of this show. You're right.
Mhm.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Well, Ken, you know that they're losing talent. I won't mention the company's name, but
Oh yeah.
there's
yeah.
several companies that lost value and quality in their products when they lost all the guys that made it hot, and people are frustrated, and and not for nothing, people need to make a living.
So you know how
You know,
Sound
and-
Oracle has his show, and they always say, add value.
Right.
And shout out to Oracle
Right.
and Triza. And
Yeah,
them.
Right. Shout out to them. I love them guys.
But they're always saying add value, and it seems to me like a lot of these larger companies, their motto these days, lose value, non-stop. Like,
Lose
not,
value.
it's like,
A lot of these companies debate innovative features. You're trying to push them towards the future, and they're saying, "Oh, that's not cool," and then they don't move on it until their competition does it, and you're like, I showed you that a year ago, right?
oh, I can tell you.
Well, but it speaks back to what you said originally, Masada, about the trajectory. The trajectory is dollars and cents.
Yeah, man.
And
That's what I'm
we're talking about culture versus
Capitalism.
versus
Capitalism.
the money.
Right.
Capital-
But
right,
that's
exactly.
always
So
the case. Culture for capitalism is what kind of ruined hip hop.
that's
ask
what
me.
we're talking
Right.
about.
But that's
right.
the whole debate. That's
Right.
the whole debate.
Yeah.
I just want somebody to make a beat machine that makes waffles at the same time.
That's dope.
Let's get it. Let's make it, man.
Let's do it. But somehow you have to get the electrical right so that your beats come out fire, but your waffles aren't burnt.
Listen, with your sounds, man, it's gonna be fire, bro. You couldn't make anything that wouldn't be dope.
You know what it is? I think one of the things that when it comes to technology, also we get spoiled by features. You know, and and I was thinking about Beatmaker, right?
Right.
And I'm thinking about Beatmaker on iPad versus the MPC 2.0
Right.
on the software. When you look at features,
Right.
wait a minute, these kind of have a very similar thing happening, right? The only difference is that there's a box attached to the MPC-X.
Right.
The Beatmaker is on your iPad, which probably has more processing power.
Right.
Wait, so let me ask you this. I know I have Beatmaker 3. Can you record audio in it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You can do everything. Record vocals, you can do everything.
Wow.
So here's my thing. What if, I look at iPads, I'm like, that's about the size of the screen on the MPC-X, right? Most iPads.
Yeah, it's a 10-inch screen, basically.
So I figured, man, what if somebody just built, I always talk a 3D printed a controller that you could just sit Beatmaker 3 and just MIDI map everything right to Beatmaker 3. Boom, you got yourself.
Yeah.
And then
wait a minute, you can do that. You can do that right now with that. Remember that piece that you showed me?
Which one?
With the lightning cable? The piece that you showed me, and we were hooking up.
That's how
we
I
hooked up the twist. Right, and we hooked up the MIDI twister to that bad boy.
Yeah.
You doing it already?
No, I feel you, but the thing is that
it's not purpose built for it.
Think about the processing power of. What happened? I'm lost. Corey, what'd you say?
No, I was just saying, I think the difference is whether or not it's purpose built for it, like
exactly
versus
right.
But I think we just get really spoiled too. Also, because we're all gearheads and we can't front like we're not gearheads.
Yeah, certainly. That's
like
why it happens.
I ain't no gearhead, Daniel.
You're a gearhead, Stoney. Get out of here. And it's one of those things where I'm like, I got Machine, I got Ableton, I got all this crazy stuff, and still I complain about like, this isn't doing what I want it to do. And at the end of the day, it goes back to what Masada said, like, I just got to make it if I want it to be that way.
That's why we have the MPC, right? That's exactly why we have the MPC.
Yeah.
Because it didn't exist for what Roger Lynn wanted. So he said, I'm going to make it.
There's this dude on YouTube that took the Raspberry Pi and made all these crazy beats.
What the hell is that?
Yo, Ken, I don't know.
Like the ghost of Christmas Past just came to visit
Who made that noise? Was that Ken?
No, I think that's Masada.
Yo, Ken, did you see
whose
that
frequency? Whose ever ears that is? Stop it.
Yo, Ken, there's this dude on YouTube that made all these weird beat machines on Raspberry Pi. And he made touchscreen interfaces using like iPhone screens, stuff like that for the Raspberry Pi. And I thought it was incredible. And I was like, yo, this dude is doing what I want to do. Now I'm reading. I bought manuals on freaking Raspberry Pi on how to do stuff.
Look at that, but yeah, I mean that's the thing. Raspberry Pi has its own issues. I've talked to some developers who have used it already, and it's got a lot of issues as far as sample latency and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But that being said, there's other chipsets out there that'll work. And now Intel and they have these card computers, and there's a few other things out there that are making the sort of power that's required to do this sort of stuff like really affordable and in crazy small form factors. So it's available out there now. The other thing is that we have this opportunity, not just us who are already involved in the industry, but fans, general fans, people who are just enthusiastic about gear, have access to these companies in ways that we never had before. Back when I first got an MPC 2000 XL, that sucker was like, it was a unicorn that just came across me. You know what I mean? It was like, I never thought for a day that I would get to meet Roger Lynn or any of that kind of stuff. I didn't understand any of that. But nowadays, we all have access to email and Facebook and social media. We can tweet, we can contact these people directly. And you can say, look, man, why isn't this happening? Why isn't that happening? You know, and put the pressure to some of these people. Now, granted, I still think that the power is in the youth and the new developers and new creatives making their own products. But the point is, we can actually reach out and smack somebody now, whereas before we couldn't do that, you know, and that's a major impact.
Right.
Well, yeah, I think you good point, Ken. The influence reaches much further now. Like, I think what some people don't realize too is that we may have some influence over what people might buy, and I think we all have a little bit of that influence, but we also have the ears of people that are making the stuff that people buy.
Right.
And you know what I'm saying? And some things work out, some things don't. And I honestly think sometimes that's what fuels the discussion to a degree too, even though we don't outright say that. You know what I mean? The discussion is typically fueled by, like, it's not just a wish list. We've told these people. You know what I'm saying? Like, but you're right. Ultimately, it comes down to that same situation, like where Roger Lynn looked up as a guitar player and said, I need a drum machine that does this. I can't find a drummer. I can't play drums and play guitar at the same time, but I need accompaniment. And so then the MPC was born out of that thought.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. Exactly.
Yo, I got a quick thing that's totally off topic, but I just wanted to bring it up because it popped in my head and I have ADD, so deal with it. This thing. Look, so, and this is how random I am. This thing is out of print now. They don't make them anymore. They're done.
Oh, that's the...
This is the Rig Control 3, right? Masada, you got to mute that. All right, so Rig Control 3, right?
Yeah.
Now, it's been out of production for a minute now, right?
I wish I had that.
Guitar Rig is still like a flagship product for them. They haven't come out with anything to replace it. Like, I thought, hey, maybe they're going to come out with something new that would replace it. Nothing has come along. What the hell? Like, do you guys use like Guitar Rig and other?
Oh my God, absolutely, yes.
So it just strikes me as kind of crazy that, like, you know, their main flagship that had, you know, an actual, like, so the main usage of it used to be guitar pedals. You know, guitarists were using it, but I think maybe that paradigm has shifted now, and now Guitar Rig is primarily used by producers, and it's not being used in a live setting like that now. And maybe that's why it's going away, or what?
I would use Guitar Rig as a live looping pedal with that. That's what I would do. I would set it up to capture live loops.
Yeah, I would primarily use that, and then I would set up the expression pedal for different things. Like,
yeah,
you could actually set up really complex mappings inside of there. So what you could do is you could have it sweep through arpeggiations and all kinds of other modulations and doing some cool stuff. So that's
no, you're right, Ken. It's a powerful piece.
Ken, does that work? Does that work with the current version?
Yeah, it does, but it's no longer being produced.
I'm gonna try to find one on eBay.
Yeah, so it's really strange because I really thought, like, hey, well, maybe they're gonna come out with a new version and it's gonna have a new pedal. Nothing has come out, and this has been like, it's got to have been at least 6 months since that thing's been killed.
Wow.
Yeah, so yeah, I don't know. It popped in my head and it got me thinking about, like, you know, because we're talking about, like, you know, software developers going hardware and this and that, and it's like there's a lot of interaction in between them. Yeah, just like I keep thinking about, like, well, when's Dave Smith going to do a Tempest 2, and how many people are going to be actual guinea pigs and be jumping in early, and, you know, what kind of impact did the Tempest 1 and all the problems that they had with that? What kind of impact does that have on them moving forward in that space?
Well, if we're ever going to get the Lindrum 2, you really think we will?
Yeah.
I don't know if we will.
And that's the thing is, I went to NAMM and I asked Roger Lynn, and I said, hey, is that still coming? And he got angry at me, like, of course it's still coming.
Yeah, well, he told me that too. He was like, well, you know, I just want to finish the development of this thing. What's the latest thing? I can't remember.
The instrument?
The Linstrument. Yeah, he's like, you know,
Man, he
kind
chill
of
with
get
that
over the hill with the Linstrument.
Yeah, but what was funny though, because the Lindrum was kind of like in the works before that, so it's like, well, don't get up about this. Ass. Did you check my website? Yeah, I checked your website. It's still the same thing as it was last time.
I like all the renderings that are there that never have appeared in real life.
But I'm the asshole, so whatever.
So, yo, hey, it's we're about an hour and a half in, and we're gonna call it one for the day. Hey, Masada, I want to thank you for joining the show,
Hey,
man.
thanks for joining, brother.
No, I want to say thank y'all for having me. I'm always in.
You better thank me for having you, nigga.
Yeah. Listen, I want to
It
thank
was
Tony.
totally Brooklyn right there.
Listen. Tony,
Brooklyn made me do it.
I would like to say this, if I may. Bravo at the foot of the queen. Stony is awesome. Stony is everything to me. Stony
is love.
is everything. So I just want to.
Okay.
You
Yeah.
gonna
Oh,
make Karen
thank you, Masada.
I kissed the ring. I kissed the ring.
My Stony.
Yes.
Oh shit.
Look, Ken's like, get out. You cannot stay here.
Right.
I gotta go up my chest for a second. Hold on. All right.
So, yo, anybody got anything they want to say in closing? Then we're gonna close this one out. Thanks everybody in the chat room for coming through, though.
Man, yo, go check out MSX Audio. We just dropped Slump Drums, Slump Loops. Just a lot of wonkiness and a lot of unquantized butteriness in those joints. And yeah, just visit the website. We just want to inspire you guys and keep you guys creative. And just make sure that you never say, I don't have any good sounds to use. So, yeah. And shout out to Corey, Stony, and Ken. You know, guy couldn't ask for better people to be inspired by all the time. So I feel you.
Oh man.
Appreciate that, bro.
Yo, I want to say a special shout out to my man Bryce Upright. He's going through rough times right now, and I just wanted to be like, for real.
You make him smell like a drug addict.
I thought
He's in rehab or something.
no. I'm just saying.
No, he's going through some tough times right now.
I just wanted to send some good vibes his way, and that we're all thinking about him. So
That's real.
him and his lady. So I'd also like to say to Stony especially, so happy to see you here.
That's right.
Oh no, here we go.
No shit.
So happy to see you. Always am. Now we missed out on meeting up the other day up in Philly. But
Yeah.
we can make that work again. So
Okay.
as far as my products, we're gonna go get some Scrapple. So
Oh no.
What's up, Stone? You got anything you want to share in closing?
Man, I just want to say thank you for always having me here. You guys are my family. Y'all like my brothers. And you know, and I want to piggyback off of what Daniel said. You guys are just super talented, every single one of you. And everybody just go to everybody's Instagram and follow us, and you know, go to stonysworld.com and you know, follow me on all the social media platforms, and you know, just follow us. We're putting out content, we're putting out good video. You know, everybody on this panel has amazing sounds. Go buy them, make great music, have fun.
Yeah.
And just enjoy the process. We're in the best time in the game right now. We have everything accessible to us. Let's just make good music and good products.
And Stony, can I also share that, you know, you're going to be featured on B-Boy Tech Report doing reviews from time to time?
Oh,
yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, I got like a special.
I do it while I was doing it though.
Yes. It's okay. Yeah, you know, I got some video stuff I'm doing, you know, special exclusive stuff for Corey's site, and I'm excited about it, Corey. It's going to be some real dope product and stuff that we're going to talk about. Some new stuff coming. It's going to be crazy.
Yeah, so definitely stay tuned to B-Boy Tech Report and Stony's YouTube channel, Stony Music, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so there's gonna be some real dope collaborations and stuff, review stuff coming up on B-Boy Tech Report. And right now I'm sharing my screen. This is latest product I'm working on. It's called Drenched. It's kind of a thematic type of sample pack with loops and stuff. thematic in the sense of like Chicken Kit. So if you like the Chicken Kit, you'll probably dig this too, because it's kind of got a certain theme where everything sounds like it's got water and drips, and it's just kind of a tripped out thing that I did with designing. So it's called Drenched, and it'll be coming soon. I went through a few iterations of this design. I've been bugging the team with all over all of our communications all week. But yeah, this will be coming up real soon. So yeah, check out beatpeople.com and check out all of our other sites and resources. What's up?
One last thing. So next Synth Summit show is going to be Chris Myers, which, if people don't know, he was deeply involved in the Prophet VS and a lot of the sequential circuit stuff. So I'm going to have him on the show very soon, and that's going to be cool. So that's YouTube.
The week leading up to that, like in the days leading up, you know what you should do is do a post so all of us can repost it.
Yeah, I will. It's just been like I've been reeling things in an awful lot because I've been doing so much work on that house and the new studio. So it's frustrating because I know people are like wondering, hey, like, why is he not quite as active? I'm twice as active as I ever have been. It's just I gotta focus my efforts in, my YouTube channel and my Flux With It site are free time activities. All the other work that I do, that's what brings in money. Like the other stuff I do is for fun and to have other people have access to what I'm fortunate enough to have access to. So unfortunately, that stuff has to suffer a little bit while I'm getting my personal life in order with that kind of stuff. But yeah.
So is Masada still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
You want to plug in your website? Like, where can people find you? Like,
All right. First off, I want to say again, look, thank y'all for having me, and I appreciate and I'm a fan of all you guys. Ken, you're a genius. Dan, you're phenomenal. Stoney, you're an inspiration. Corey, you're weird, but I love you. And stuff like that. Stuff like that.
Come on, my show. Beautiful compliment.
Yeah, and stuff. And you know what I mean? I'm Masada.
I love you.
You can find my stuff at thepsychokit.com. You can find me on Instagram at Masada MPC. You can find me on Facebook at Masada MPC or whatever. Thank y'all. Respect. Always remember to be yourself. No one can tell you how to be you. That's what I want to leave you with.
But you. That's
right.
The old song. That's what's up.
That boy, facts.
Word. And on that note, we're going to sign out. Be sure to check out beatpeople.com and bboytechreport.com and visit all of us on IG because we visit each other on IG. And we'll see you next go round. All right?
Peace.
Scrapple.
Yo,